Hello, so I'm live now. I haven't timed this particularly well because the penalty shootouts. Oh, they just missed it. So that's the end of the penalty shootout. So Paris Saint-Germain have won the Champions League. Well done. Unlucky Arsenal. So yeah, I actually timed it better than I thought. So I'll just wait for everyone to arrive. Yeah, it's a lovely warm day here. I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods, but it's been very warm here, but like more pleasantly warm than in recent weeks. So I don't need a fan at the moment. Hi, Mark. How are you doing? Hi to Patrick as well. Yeah, so it's been a really busy time, as you can probably imagine. I've posted a couple of things about it. Hi, David. And the next couple of weeks are going to be busy, but a couple of weeks from now, I think I'll actually be able to slow down a little bit, which will be nice. I must confess. Hi to Emma. Hi to Sarah. Hi to Karen. Hi to Heidi. Hi to Bren. Hi to Patrick. Yeah, very warm in Yorkshire. Hi to Margaret. Hi to Zoe. Hi to John. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. Hopefully, I mean, I've had so many nice comments about the book. I mean, we've done everything to make it a success. So over the next month, we'll see. We'll see. But everything's set up for it to succeed. Hi to Jenny. Hope you're well. Hope things are good over there in the States. Hi to Mackenzie. Hi to Doris. Right, you've got to go immediately. It's just a silly comment. Like, if you believe Lucy's guilty, why don't you just blend in? Why make these silly comments? There's just no reason for it. Hi to Yelda. Hi to Melanistic. Hi to Lisa. Hi to Karen. Hi to Mumbland in Swansea. Hi to Christine. Hi to Rachel. Hi, Chris. Where's Kiko tonight? Kiko is downstairs because Keeks prefers the cold. She loves the sun. She loves to be outside in the sunshine, but if it's a bit warm upstairs, she'll just go downstairs. So I was actually I was listening to the radio the other day, and the presenters were reflecting on the fact that in continental Europe, they have the bedrooms downstairs. And on reflection, that does seem sensible, given that heat rises. I know when if it gets over 30 degrees, if there's a day with a temperature over 30 degrees, it's unbelievably hot upstairs in this house. So I do think we missed a bit of a trick there. But yeah, Keeks is just chilling on the sofa downstairs, but she'll probably come up at some point. But yeah, she's absolutely fine. She loves the sunshine. Hi to Mark and hi to Stuart, who's in sunny Southport. Hi to Marie from South Africa, who probably thinks our weather is not very warm at all. Hi to Ava from Munich. Evening all bloody penalties, Bernie says. Yeah, you must be an Arsenal fan. Or you must wanted Arsenal to win. I mean, I was watching quite a bit of it, but I didn't watch all the extra time. But apparently they had a good shout for a penalty. I don't know if it was a penalty or not, so I'd be interested to know if anyone knows or what they think. But yeah, I guess Arsenal are not destined to win the Champions League. Oops. Whoops. Sorry, I banned the wrong person. That's really unfortunate. It's just because the things scroll up fast, so that's really unfortunate. I have to now work out if I can work out how to unban someone. That's really, really unfortunate. I've never had this issue before. Whoops. So, right, just bear with me. God, that's so annoying. The thing is this is a problem with doing platforms that you never use. You don't know how the hell to use them. You can't practice because it always goes live all the time. So apologies to Michael. I didn't mean to press ban. I was just trying to get rid of someone else. That's so annoying. I don't know how the hell to do it. What have I got at the bottom here? Yeah. Just bear with me. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes while I try to work out if I can unban someone. I don't know how to do that. Right, here we go. So annoying. So annoying. You have a hat. So annoying. Why can't I unban them though? This is just a lot of things telling me how to ban someone. Anyway, I'll have to try later on to sort this issue out. There's not a lot I can do about it. Oh, you got a guest dog. So hard. That's just so annoying. Why is the system so unwieldy? Because it doesn't show up here. Right, let me just try something. I'm sorry about this this issue. It's just that for God's sake. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I just have to ignore this unfortunate incident and just carry on. Hello to Eleanor. Hello to So Hard, who's got me a guest dog sitting my cousin Softy asleep on the lawn right now, enjoying the hot weather. Yeah, Keeks has been out in the sun today. Hi Sue, glad to have you here. Hello to Asymmetry, who's in Canada. British homes are not suited to the warming climate. So I mean, I find that it does get incredibly warm in this house. And by the way, if anyone wants to post this on Facebook and just let people know that it's taking place, that would be appreciated. Question: Dewi Evans got referred to the General Medical Council a couple of years ago. Do you know of any action by the GMC, or did they just ignore it? Any investigation? All I can say is that there's been no. I mean, I do know a little bit, but I can't say too much about it. All I can say is that as far as I'm aware, the GMC has not progressed this and doesn't have any intention of progressing this. It is true that Dr. Evans was referred, but oh, yeah, it's a good idea to try help. But yeah, I just don't think. Help is no help whatsoever. It's a good suggestion. It's absolutely no help whatsoever. Let's try again. Yeah, you'd think the GMC would be more interested, but unfortunately, they're not. So they've got no intention of advancing the Dr. Evans thing. But I know that for a fact. But I can't say everything that I know about it, unfortunately. What a stupid machine. There's nothing I can do about it. Help is no use whatsoever. Hi to Barry. Hi to John. It's my first attempt at live streaming. Have I connected? Yes, you have. Otherwise, I would not be able to see your comment. Hi to. It's in settings in hidden users to unban. Yeah, I looked in settings, but I can't see a list. I mean, I've got a thing here that says ban guests, and it just says no ban guests. And there's just nothing I can do about it. seemingly. Maybe it's on my StreamYard profile somewhere. No, it's not. I don't know what to do. I can't spend the rest of the stream worrying about this. I'll just have to accept it and speak to Michael or send Michael a message and say sorry. It's really annoying. I just clicked on the wrong one. Remove them from your hidden users list in YouTube Studio. Okay, that's a good suggestion. Let's try that. Settings. Yeah, this isn't made easy, by the way. Community, view post, mentions, comments. That doesn't work. Yeah, I probably should just give up and try at a later date. they just don't make things easy on these channels. Anyway, there's nothing I can do. Let's just forget about that. Yeah, I kind of understand. I don't watch football as much as I used to, Dave. There is a ridiculous amount of money involved at the highest level. I agree. I guess it was in my blood, and I love sport growing up, and I just kind of still follow it a bit, even though I don't watch it very much now. But I guess because it was a big game, I thought I'd put it on, and I'll probably watch the World Cup. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't kind of enjoy it as much as I used to, but yeah, I still follow sport a bit. Go to your YouTube account, click on profile icon, click settings, then navigate to community. YouTube account, profile icon. Right. Let me try this. Settings. Community. Right, bear with me. I haven't got community here. Not got a community option. I just don't have it. Safe. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's a nice suggestion, but I don't have the option of. I just don't have this option. I've really got to stop looking at this now, because otherwise I'll just be trying an hour from now and it won't work. Let's just accept the situation, and I'll try to change this unfortunate incident when I'm offline, because otherwise people keep saying things. I'll look, it won't work. I'll look again, it won't work. I'll look again, it won't work. Why they can't just have one uniform setup for these things? Because like people are saying, look at settings, look community. Well, when I do that, there is no community. And then there's a list of banned users. Well, there isn't on mine. I've looked at the list of banned users on StreamYard. There isn't a list there. So let's just forget it. Everyone just forget this has ever happened. I'll try and sort it out when I'm not on stream. Otherwise, it's going to be a very boring stream. Maybe we can put a comment on the video telling I will do that. I will put a comment on. Let's not worry about it. Hi, Chris. Sorry I'm late. Just got granddaughter to sleep. That's okay, Kath. Glad that you're here. Let me go up a bit. Let me try something here. No, you can't click on that either. Useless. That's the last thing I'm trying. I was really shocked on one of your recent videos to hear how few wrongfully convicted people get compensation. Surely it should be automatic compensation. So interestingly enough, Patrick, if you go to the YouTube channel for Private Eye, there's a video that's just been posted by a freelance journalist, and he is talking about the number of people that don't receive compensation after being exonerated. And it's a very small percentage. So hopefully the situation will improve. But yeah, it's a very small percentage. And believe me, Lucy's by no means guaranteed to receive compensation. There will be enormous pressure on her, pressure on the state to compensate her if she's exonerated, but it's not guaranteed. Not at all. Because you basically have to be proven innocent. And even then, they try not to hand it out. And they've done this thing of deleting your border lodgings for being in prison, like you want to be in prison, and you're doing it so you can get rent free, you can live rent free. It's disgraceful, really, but yeah, I can't control that, but that's just a fact. So I'm not going to try and unban this person anymore. I've tried everything I could possibly think of. None of it worked. Lucy had no chance once police got hold of her notes. They decided immediately, serial killer. What they failed to understand was her mental state during this specific moment in time as they wanted a win. I think I would tend to agree with you. I think the more that we know, the more that I suspect that they got terribly excited about having a big case, and they got tunnel vision, and unfortunately they've done a very bad job, as we've heard on this channel, as has been exposed by Steve Watts, as Stephanie has commented about, as Sir David Davis has exposed as well. So we're doing all we can to point that out to them. They're not going to relent. It'll have to come out in the wash, but certainly exposing that helps Lucy's position, in my opinion. I think it's very important to do that. Hello, Chris from Prague. Hi, Robert. Nice to have you here. Hope things are good in Prague. Hello, I felt bad for Eze, but I'm a Spurs supporter. So Eze missed a penalty, if people don't know. Hello, Chris and all. Sorry, late today. No problem, Angela. Thanks for being here. World Cup of Soccer, not football, in America this year. Yeah. Hopefully people can afford to go to the games, because they've done some fairly outrageous things with the prices, but I'll watch some of the games for sure. Some of them are on at like 3 o'clock in the morning in this country, so I won't be able to watch all of them, but I'll watch some of them. Chris, do we know any more on Jed Mercurio, also a Dr. Ravi friendship? Jed and Dr. Phil spat on X. Oh, I don't think it. When was drama planned before Baby K trial? Very bizarre. So if something happened on X recently that I don't know about, because someone was commenting about this in the comment section for this live stream, when I initially posted it to let people know there's going to be one, someone mentioned something about X. So I don't, if this is what you're referring to, and this is what the message is referring to, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything. All I know is that Jed Mercurio clearly wanted to make a drama, and it's untenable to do that at this point in time, clearly. And instead of saying, oh, I wanted to make a drama, but it's not tenable, blah, blah, blah. It seems that he threw his toys out the pram a bit. As to his relationship with Ravi, I don't know anything. I must say that I don't know any more than any of you. When people ask, was so-and-so at this conference, what's the relationship between this person and that person? Unless they're people that are known to me, and I'm sure it's not hugely surprising to you that I don't know J-Ram, and he hasn't reached out to me yet. I don't know any more than you. I just know what I've seen on social media and what happened at the time. So really, Mercurio didn't behave in the most mature fashion, but we've all had a little tantrum. I mean, I like to think I haven't. I like to think I'm above that personally, but many people lose their rag and say things that they later regret. But there's no prospect he's going to be making a drama, that's for sure. The latest video you posted was a good one. Thank you, Daisy. It was at the Q&A that I did. So one thing I wanted to address, actually, while I'm online today, is that someone made a comment today about they haven't got time to watch an hour-long video, and I should make 20-minute videos and split them up. So there are numerous reasons why I haven't done this. I do intend to make more shorter videos, and I actually, in June, I wanted to try posting a short video every day. The problem is I have been working incredibly hard, and what I've actually been doing on YouTube is firefighting. Like, I'm really glad that people have enjoyed what I've done and have found it valuable, and that I'm still able to maintain a good quality under the pressure of work that I've been under. But the truth is that I haven't been able to give much thought to YouTube for quite some time. Certainly over the last month, very little thought. And anything that would take a long time to record, I just have to say, right, I can't possibly do that. I haven't got time. I haven't even got time to think about it. So everything that I've recorded has been stuff that I know I can do it relatively quickly without any thought, without any research, and without doing loads of visuals. That's what takes the time. The actual recording is not too bad. The actual editing is not too bad. But for example, these long videos, videos that, for example, I'd say 200 things that you don't know about Lucy Letby's case, as an example. That takes ages because you've got to think of the 200 things firstly. Now, obviously, I've got a pretty good handle on that, but it's not like I can just bring them all up off the top of my head. And then you want it to be authoritative, so you don't want to miss stuff out. And then you've got to bring a different visual for each point. So some of those required me to create 400 slides. That takes a long time. Then that type of video needs to be scripted. So that takes time. So these all take a long time. So actually the shorter videos sometimes take longer. In terms of like making videos and splitting them up into different parts, there's numerous reasons I haven't done this. One of the reasons is when you've got something on YouTube and it works, you just keep doing it. Like I haven't got the time to experiment or think about, should I do this? Should I do that? Oh, that didn't work. Never mind, I'll try this. I just haven't got the time to do it. So certainly over the last month in particular, when there haven't been many interviews, I haven't had time to arrange the interviews because then you have to email someone, you have to work out who you're going to contact, who the best person to contact is. Then you've got to interact with them. Then if I don't know them personally, which sometimes I don't, I have to invite them to do a pre-meeting. Then we do a pre-meeting. Then I prep. Then I have to research. Then I'll, so it takes time to do all the prep. So that's why I just haven't had time to do that. So I've just been trying to find videos to record where it's still interesting for you guys. It still tells you things you don't know, and it's still worthwhile and hopefully has value. But there's the minimum requirement for me in terms of recording time, in terms of research, and in terms of the time I have to invest in it, because I've really been, the last month in the build up to the release of a book is pretty intense. One day I might be able to tell you the whole process. At the moment, I need to keep that a little bit quiet, but it's intense. You have to go through a lot of stuff, particularly for a book of this importance. So just taking that on its own would be enough for most people, but I wanted to keep YouTube going. So I managed to find a way to do that and balance what I'm doing as well. But it is literally just firefighting of what I'm going to record. I can record this, I'll do this. And I'm able to do it still to a good standard, luckily. But the good things about what I've been recording are I just record every 2 days and I know I'll get that video done. Then I've got a break for 2 days. I don't have to think about YouTube. I'll try to go in the comments section and give you half an hour of my time to answer questions and just read the comments and make sure I'm trying to give respect to you guys. But that's the maximum I can do at the moment. In 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be able. I will actually be able to think. The book's in the can. I've recorded the audio book. I've done all my public stuff. I've got various things I'm doing in London over the next couple of weeks. I will have done all of that, and I'll then be able to concentrate on YouTube. And to be honest, I need a break. So I'll be slowing the pace of my life down a bit because that's necessary. So everything that I've done on YouTube recently is just a way of making it manageable for me. Luckily, I've still done some pretty good stuff, so I'm happy with that. But people perhaps sometimes don't understand what goes into it. People just think, oh, well, if you did a shorter video, that's just a quarter of the effort. But like, it's not. It's not a quarter of the effort, firstly. Secondly, you can't experiment with things on YouTube. Or if you do, you have to have the time to do it so that you can monitor the reaction and monitor the way that YouTube deals with your video. Because one of the things about YouTube is people think, another thing people think, so I mean, I could spend an hour just discussing this one point alone. Another thing is people think shorter videos automatically equal more views. That's not true. What equals views is how many people are shown the video. And what determines that typically is how many people view it in the first hour. And what determines that is how many subscribers click on it. And that is not strongly related to the length of the video. Sometimes short videos can do really well, and sometimes they completely bomb. And if they completely bomb, all I've done is change what I'm doing on YouTube for no reason. And then that's confusing to the algorithm. So everything I do is done for a reason. And I have sought, I have done a little bit of research. I'm by no means an expert on YouTube. There are millions, well, not millions, but there are thousands of people that are better than me who know the kind of tricks of the trade better than I do. But I have taken time to understand this platform, and I have taken time to research it. And I have looked up things on Reddit, and I've spoken to people who are much, much bigger on YouTube than I am, albeit not spoken to them conversation-wise, but just interacted with them a little bit. And I've read stuff they've written. And that's why I've been able to do a successful channel, because, when I started, I knew nothing, and I'm just learning on the job. And now I have got a pretty decent handle on what to do. So the reason I don't record an hour video and then split that video into 3 parts is because it's not in my interest and not in the interest of the channel to do that at this point in time. When I have more time, I will consider doing a video every day and for a month as a trial. That trial might end very quickly if I decide it's not working, because what you'll usually find, even with YouTubers that are way, way, way bigger than me, they don't take chances. They don't experiment. They know how to make their channel work. They know what to do with the thumbnails. They know what to do with their videos. They know how to present things, and they do that relentlessly. To give you another example, I did that thumbnail recently that was AI generated. I've never done an AI generated thumbnail. My thumbnails have steadily got a bit better, and I think they're pretty decent now, but they're still nowhere near the standard of a professional YouTuber. So I thought I'd let AI do one, because you get these AI created thumbnails, and also I've not got many pictures of Lucy, so that's a continuing problem. What am I supposed to do for a thumbnail? There's only so many pictures of Lucy I can use, but ideally you want to get pictures of people in the thumbnail, so I can't start experimenting and think, oh, do something completely different, because typically that doesn't work. It doesn't work algorithmically. So that's a challenge. So I thought, oh, I'll use a different thumbnail. And I thought that was one of the best videos I made, or certainly I thought it was a good one. And it didn't really do that well in numbers. And I think that was probably did okay. I mean, I'm more than grateful to get over 4,000. Like I can pretty much guarantee, like my average per video is 8,000, I think, over every video. But I can pretty much guarantee to get 5,000 for most videos, certainly. So to get 4,000, and it did perfectly well, and that's like a slightly below par video, I'm more than grateful for. But the fact is, it didn't perform great. So now I can never use an AI thumbnail ever again. I mean, I don't really want to do it anyway, but it just saved me a job. But now I just need to keep making the thumbnails. So that's how YouTube works. So I hope you found that informative. But that just is what you have to do to make the channel work. So everything I do is to make the channel work, and to help the videos reach more people, and to hopefully, help Lucy in some small way. But certainly to educate people about this miscarriage of justice. And I know people would like to see smaller videos, and I've got that other channel where I did one video and I just did not have time to make more. I'd like to do more of that. The idea of that channel was to use clips from this channel, but it's risky to use clips from this channel because it could be flagged as duplicated content. So I'd have to remake videos for that channel that are shorter in length. So I haven't had time to do that. Literally haven't had spare time to do anything. So I hope that's been. I really wanted to answer that question in full. I didn't want to make a video about it. So I hope everyone understands that. I hope that was kind of informative for you. I know I'll get asked this question again in the future, but at least I've answered it once. I now firmly believe that this goes far beyond. Right, I can't comment on this. Someone asked me about this question earlier, Karen. It was probably you. I can't talk about it. I just cannot talk about that. I've seen what you're referring to. I know what you're referring to. It's a dangerous topic for me, so I'm afraid I can't answer that question. Claudia, hi Chris, good to have you here. Claudia's in Italy. What's happened to the 2 people in the Council of Chester Hospital arrested for not taking action against Lucy sooner? So it's 3 people, firstly. I believe we know the identity of these people, although they've not been confirmed. And I guess the short answer to your question is we don't know. What I mean, what we do basically, what happened is they got arrested, they haven't been charged, and they're still sitting there with this hanging over them. In terms of what the allegations are, and in terms of on what basis they were arrested, in terms of what questions they were asked, I have no idea. In terms of the other person, which we assume is, oh no, it's been confirmed, hasn't it? Cheshire Police have confirmed that one of the three has then been arrested. Is it for obstructing the course of justice or something like that? I don't have the slightest clue why that is. I can't comment on that. It would be speculative. It would be inappropriate. I do find it incredibly hard to understand how anyone could possibly be charged for the charge. It's, what is it? Corporate manslaughter. Considering that we know for a fact that this case was referred to the police with no evidence. No evidence was provided to the executives, and the executives had a meeting with them 3 days before the consultants walked in, and they all agreed there's no basis for a criminal investigation. So what they should have done differently, I have no idea, because they gave the consultants countless opportunities to perk up and actually provide some evidence. So I cannot understand it, but I have no more information than you, and I am very, very confident. I think I can say with 100% certainty that the police will never be interacting with me or telling me anything. They don't really care about any of that. Also, yeah, we're going to get onto the X stuff in a minute because someone's explained to me what it's about. Anyone interested to look into the Karen Reid trial? So a couple of people have mentioned this to me. So you may appreciate that I have not had time to read into the Karen Reid trial in depth, but I did Google it and have a quick look. This is all the kind of thing that I'll be able to do in the future, perhaps. I don't know what direction my life's going to take, but yeah, there's going to be many options open to me, and I know I'll do stuff in the criminal justice space. All I'm really thinking about at the moment is getting to the next 14 days, doing the best I can with this book, carrying on YouTube, and honestly, I'm going to have a break, just doing YouTube and just taking it easy for a bit, because it's been pretty intense. 70 hours a week work, pretty much 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, every day, working on my book, working on this, communicating with people, doing stuff behind the scenes, not all of which I can tell you about, doing various other things. I've had very few days off, and when I have had a day off, it's usually to meet with other people to discuss the Lucy Letby case. So I am actually looking forward to a break. People have described my efforts as tireless and said some very nice things, and I have got a good work ethic and I am quite determined, but I'm not a machine, and I am ready to have a little bit of a quieter period. But definitely in the future, I would be interested in looking into other miscarriages of justice. But what I don't want to become is someone who just goes from one miscarriage of justice to another. I know some people have done that. And I mean, Stephen Phelps, who you've heard interviewed on the channel, is one person that's done a lot of work in that space. And I have enormous respect for people who do that. However, I'm a writer and I would like to have a bit more variety. But I certainly will remain very interested in the criminal justice and miscarriage of justice space, and I will definitely be doing more. I'll probably be doing that for the rest of my life, but I just want to make it varied if I can. Have you seen X today? No. So intrigued with Michelle's post regarding Rupert. Can you spill the tea? Probably not. Let's see what Michelle said. So I don't know. Bear in mind, I'd not seen this, so I don't know what she said. Let's have a look. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to find out what's been said. Yeah. Well, I can't find exactly what was posted. If you give me more of a clue then as to exactly what was said, that's always helpful, because I don't follow X or Twitter. I don't even like calling it X. It's a ridiculous name. So yeah, I know about Michelle and Rupert. I probably can't spill the tea, but if you'd let me know what it is, also I might not know, but if you let me know what it is, then I'll let you know. But obviously I can't reveal anything private, but I'll tell you what I do know if I can. there should be compensation as a malicious prosecution, in my opinion. Well, you may very well think that, but unfortunately, I obviously can't. I obviously have to assume everyone acted in good faith. Firstly, the court will assume that, and all I can say is that Lucy's compensation is not guaranteed. But we'll make sure that Lucy has money. Don't worry about that. There'll be funding campaigns for her. We'll make sure. Let's just concentrate on getting her out of prison. I don't think she's going to have to worry about money. I really don't. Hi from Southampton. Hi, Kath. Good to have you here as always. Hi to Jeanette. Good to have you here. I'm very well. Could she get compensation from the police? Very unlikely. The police always, we discussed this many times, but the police always wriggle their way out of everything. I mean, the chances of the police facing any serious consequences are minimal because they never do. But I really wouldn't worry about compensation too much because we'll make sure Lucy's okay. I'm not concerned about her financial position or anything like that. So yeah, I'm aware of this video. I've not had time to watch the whole thing, but I've had a little bit of a look at what was said by this new video. I can't really discuss it too much. But it's interesting, and people should check it out. Common Sense Guru, if they want to see more. Hi to Martin, good to have you here. Hi to everyone in the chat. I download on YouTube Premium and listen off Wi-Fi while I'm doing stuff. The longer the better, really. That's good. I know people like the podcast format, and it's difficult to be all things to all people. I would like to experiment 1 month, as I say, with just recording shorter videos. The problem is you then have to think of topics that can be addressed in a short period of time. So then if you fail to do that, it's problematic. So I will try and do it at some point. But at the moment, the reason I'm doing it, yeah, and as you rightly say, the long form is my thing. And I know some of you love that, and it has done really well. And I know that it's kind of my typical content. I don't want to stop doing that, but I would like to see, because I remember saying in a previous live stream, I'm not sure you want to hear from me every day, and people said, "Oh yeah, we definitely watch a video every day." What I've got at the moment is a sweet spot that works, but it would be nice to try. So I can just hear my dog crying because she's in another room. So what she will do is she'll get on the bed because she loves being on the bed. She's too good to lie on the floor, obviously. And then she'll cry because I'm not in the room with her. So I basically have to spend, like, if I did her ideal lifestyle for Keeks would be me spending my entire life in bed, but taking her out for a walk and feeding her occasionally. I'm just going to go and get her because otherwise she's going to cry for the duration of this video. Keeks, get down. Come on in here. We're going to get a nice bed for you, aren't we? Come on, in you come. I'm going to get you a bed. Look, what's this down here? Here's your bed, isn't it? This is Kiko's bed. Come on, in you come. Come on then. I forgot we'd moved your bed. I'm so sorry. There, we've got our bed now. Everything's fine. She's happy now. This is a secondary bed. She'll accept this. I watched quite a few of yours in chunks. Yeah, I assume a lot of people do that. As I say, it's kind of my strength, but I'll see what I do in the future. Hi, Chris. Looking forward to your book. Thank you, Michael. My question is, when the CCRC sends the case back to the Court of Appeal, what does the process there look like? Do barristers make arguments, or is it just judges? No, barristers make arguments. Bear in mind, I'm not an expert on this, but I know a little bit about the appeal of Colin Campbell, and they absolutely have barristers. You have KCs. KCs present the case at the Court of Appeal, and naturally the prosecution will have barristers. And I think this is pure speculation, but I think it's very likely for this case that you're going to see a lot of legalistic arguments from the prosecution because the science just does not support the prosecution. They'll try and muddy the waters with a bit of science, they'll put some bullshit in there, but it's going to be so difficult for them to get experts, firstly, and secondly, the science just is not in their favour. So I think when this case goes to the Court of Appeal, you will see the prosecution will have barristers, a team of barristers, and sometimes a team, sometimes one. It depends, but both sides will have barristers, and they'll present their arguments, and then it's up to the judges to ultimately make a decision. But as I say, I think it'd be very hard for them to get experts in this trial, firstly. And then secondly, in terms of making legitimate scientific and medical arguments, they haven't got a leg to stand on. They've got major problems with calling in the experts who were in the original trial, i.e. they won't want to do that because they know they're a liability in some cases. So this is all positive for Lucy. Nonetheless, everyone has to be aware that the Court of Appeal can still reject this appeal. It is possible. They can say, yeah, you could have said that a few years ago. And they can try and find a way to reject the insulin evidence and just say, there you go, we've decided this is all sound. This conviction is perfectly sound. That's why I knew that. I knew that myself a long time ago, not because of specific knowledge of the Court of Appeal or the criminal justice system, but that's how systems work. That's how big, powerful systems work. They have the power and they have the influence. They don't wish to relinquish that power and influence. Therefore, if they're going to admit they've made a mistake, and if they're going to overturn something they've done, it requires an enormous amount of work, enormous amount of effort. So that usually requires a public process. So I knew that from day one when I told you the story of being in the kitchen and hearing about this on the radio. I knew as soon as I started to think this is a potential miscarriage of justice, I knew immediately this is going to require a lot of public pressure for this to ever be overturned because of the magnitude of the case. And I thought, can I help with that? I didn't know if I could. When things started to shift where a book was possible, I thought that it would be a good idea to do that and that I could help because I knew a public pressure would be needed. So Lucy's in a stronger position than anyone that's ever been convicted of anything in this country, and she's got a better chance than she would have under any other circumstances. Because if she didn't have the public support, I think she'd have no chance, even though the science absolutely supports her case and supports the case for innocence. It certainly supports the case for it being an unsafe conviction. But it's not guaranteed she'll win her appeal. When I've said previously, I'm 100% certain she'll be exonerated, I'm certain that will happen sooner or later because she's obviously innocent. And sooner or later, the system will have to accept that this was a massive cock-up from multiple organisations. But whether they will be willing to do that in a short time frame, I don't know. I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful, but I can't control that at all. All I can do is my side of the bargain and do that to the best of my ability, which is what I do. And all I can ask from you guys is to support me when the book comes out. And anyone who's watching this, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up in relation to the book over the next month. And, hopefully it's going to catch fire and gain immediate traction and go viral in the way that we want it to. And if that happens, it can be a very valuable thing. As I mentioned, it was important in the case of the Birmingham Six. So, yeah, that's all really important. And I just need your help with it. So I'm glad people like the length of the videos, and I know people do. But I just try to, I'll obviously review what I'm doing, but at the moment, it's just so much easier for me to do a long video, identify a topic, know that I can do it with minimal research because I know a lot about this case, and then put it out, and then it's done for 2 days. It really helps. The detail is what differentiates your content, knowing it's so well researched and makes a difference between being convincing and being opinion. Thank you. Yeah, so I do think they're segmented. I agree with that comment. Hi Simone, nice to have you here. I'm sorry that I didn't give much notice about the live stream. The reason for that is I wanted to do one today, but I didn't know if I was going to have the time to do it or not. Like, I'm actually not supposed to be here today. I'm supposed to have gone down south already, but I couldn't for various reasons that I won't bore you with. So I'm still here. So I thought I might as well do a live stream while I'm here. And then, but I just didn't know if I'd have the time. I had to do a bit of housekeeping today and just make sure. Like, I had to cut the grass, cut my garden, and do a bit of gardening, unfortunately, which I didn't want to do, but I had to do it. Excuse me. So it's very much a last minute thing. When I posted, say I'm going to do one today. Let's go a bit further down. Sadly, you've fallen behind in the last few because I actually had a holiday. Well, that's really nice for you. I mean, they all. I know it's not going to be possible for every single person to watch every single video, but they're all there forever. So, I hope people get to see them when they have the chance. But I mean, I'm going to point out I don't think I've put this video out yet, but I've recorded it. I got to 400,000 watch hours now. It's over 1.5 million views, approaching 7,500 subscribers now. So that's incredible. And I only started posting on this channel in April properly. I did one video in March, then the first time I posted regularly was in April last year. And I didn't even really start to do it properly until June. So it really is just a year's work to get 7,500 subscribers and 1.5 million views, 400,000 watch hours. I never would have imagined that was possible. If you'd have said to me a year ago that I'd be sitting here doing this now, and like there'd be enough people for me to do a live stream, and I'd be on 1.5 million views and all the rest of it, I would have thought that was completely impossible, would never happen. So I'm really grateful, and that's mainly because people care about this so much, right? And I feel the same way, of course. But yeah, the support's been incredible. And what I will say is that as the weeks pass, I'll start to be able to get more people back for interviews, and I'll start to be able to get more people to do different things and do a bit more variety. They have been very document driven recently, and the simple reason for that is very easy to record. You put the document on the screen, read the document, add analysis. They're easier to record. You don't have to prep anything. And the thing that makes the others harder to record is doing the visuals. Even those cruddy visuals that I do, they still take time. So things will become more varied in the foreseeable future. When my books come out, it's possible that some of the people that are in the book that you don't know about yet, who you haven't seen on the channel, will be able to be interviewed for the channel. We'll wait and see, but that's a possibility. But I will be arranging some more interviews soon. It's just I've been so busy. It's just literally just trying to get everything done. That's all I've been trying to do. So I appreciate all the nice comments about what people are saying about what I do. It's really appreciated. I just want to try to explain to people why I've been doing things the way that I do and why I have done the way that I do. And also, like, for example, other channels can do visual things, they do video things, all that type of stuff. I can't do any of that. So I feel my style is better suited to a podcast format. But I would still like to experiment with this, doing a video every day and see if that helps. Another thing that people don't realize is if you split things into multiple parts and it looks like it's the same topic, then what YouTube can do is just show people the most popular video over and over again. So that's why I move the topics around, so that there's always reasons for everything that I do. I have researched this to try and make it work. Thank you, Joanne. I really appreciate your comments. It's very kind. Hi to Di. Good to have you here as always. Hope you're well. I'm absolutely great. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. She says, I look forward to your videos, which are always brilliant. It's very, very kind. Did I see Jeff? So people have been asking about the X thing. Yes, I did see that. I am aware of that. I won't comment because people have seen what happened, and you know, I think it's not really any of my business. But I do obviously know Michelle, and I I do know a little bit about what's going on, but it's not really for me to comment any more than that, I would say. Did you see Jeff Banks? Yeah, I did. That was interesting, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember him back in the day. He was on telly like in the 80s and 90s, wasn't he? Good luck to the guy. Appreciate him. Appreciate him speaking out. I think we're going to get. I think when the book comes out, we'll see a lot more. I mean, I do think people are going to start speaking out because they'll feel confident to do it once they've got this book in their hands. So it's important for us to get out to as many people as possible. And as I've mentioned, reviews are very important with that. Thank you, House of Dragon, for your comments. I'm not reading out all these compliments because I mean, they're really nice, but it'll be too much. Don't forget to like the live stream, Martin says. So yeah, if you can like it, it'll be available as a recording afterwards as well, of course. Hi Keith, good to have you here as always. So I haven't had a chance to watch your interview with Stuart yet. Just no time, unfortunately, but I will watch it soon. Chris, you're relatable and have researched relentlessly backing everything up you discuss, which is why you've got the support and respect you have earned. Thank you very much, Lisa. I really appreciate that. Just some people talking about likes again. Trevor, if the videos are too long, you can skim through the transcript in a fraction of the time. Yeah, it's possible. It's always. I've tried to design them so that you can listen. So another thing is people might not be able to view the screen. So you can always listen to the video, but doing it in chunks is always possible. But I've just tried to do it in a way that works for me. Thanks for comments, Jeanette. Really appreciate them. The rearrest looks more like deflection. I mean, I feel that way, but we have to wait to see. I definitely believe that personally, but it's up to the Cheshire Police to show us what they've got, isn't it? Hi, Rachel. Good to have you here. Same bookcase if you're not moved house yet. I'm assuming it's a temporary move, also assuming previous. Yeah. So I kind of explained that. So yeah, I'm not literally moving permanently. Just staying with a friend to be. Just so that I've got someone to look after Keeks, so I know in the next 2 months, whatever happens to me, Keeks is looked after and she's in a good home. That's the main reason. The other reason is to be a little bit closer to London. But yeah, I was supposed to move yesterday, but I couldn't for various reasons. They're quite boring. But the next time you see me do a live stream, it will be in this new home, which I'm sure I'll be able to do them, but I won't have I've got my iMac desktop computer that I live stream on, and I won't have that with me for sure. So I'll have to work out, or maybe I have to get some headphones to do it next time. But I'll work out a way how to do it, don't worry. Yeah, you really do need to look after yourself. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine, don't worry. My health is good. Everything's fine. I know I've worked really hard, but I do make sure I have a little bit of downtime. You know, keeps me on the straight and narrow, make sure I'm always good mental health wise. So I am fine, but I do need to slow down and have a break soon. That's for sure. Given all we know, do you think there's any chance a juror has made a complaint? Perhaps they can't face another second of thinking about it, but if I were a juror, I'd be livid. I mean, I mean, again, I don't know any more than you guys. It's very hard to say. Very hard to say, Angela. I would love to know what the jurors are thinking. I mean, I just don't know. If they know everything that's happened and if they've followed it at all, it would only be human for them to start thinking, "Wow, have we made a massive mistake?" And they're not going to be stupid people. They'll be average people, but we don't know the levels of intelligence. But they can read up on it like anyone else, and they might start thinking, "Wow." So, in terms of whether a juror has spoken up or made a complaint, that's pretty unlikely because there are rules and regulations regarding what you're entitled to do as a juror. It's a tricky it's a tricky thing for them to speak out because they face potential consequences. It's not impossible though, because it's happened in other cases, and it happened in the Colin Campbell case. But I just can't really tell you what the jurors are thinking or what the situation is with the jurors. There's just I say there's just no way of knowing. No one begrudges showing a break, Chris. You deserve it. Yeah. Thank you. I will still be doing YouTube. That's not a problem. I mean, but I will be able to concentrate on it and not have anything else to do. I mean, maybe a little bit of stuff behind the scenes, but everything will be easier for sure. Lucy Letby will keep you going for the rest of your life. Realistically, it'll be discussed for centuries. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be able to talk about this for a long time to come. And I'm sure the book that I've written won't be the last one that I write on this case. And I'll certainly look at other, writing is my passion. I love doing YouTube as well. I don't consider myself to be a YouTuber though. I consider myself to be a writer. So, I will write until I die. Simple as that. I will never retire, because if you're privileged enough to write for a living, and then you're privileged enough to write books, and then you're privileged enough to be an author, I'd never throw that away. So as long as I've got ideas, I'll write, and I think I'll have ideas for the rest of my life with no difficulty. So I'll just keep going until I can't write anymore. And I guess I've mentioned this previously. One of my slight fears is that I'll be in palliative care and I'll be halfway through a book. It's something that's always concerned me a little bit, but maybe I can hand over the manuscript to someone and they can finish it off. I don't know, but yeah, I've got plenty. I'll have plenty of work on for the rest of my life. That's not a problem. Absolutely, yeah. That's very kind, Lisa. I won't read out all these very kind comments because it's too much. I mean, I really appreciate them, but yeah, I do really appreciate the kind words and understanding and everything, all the nice things you said. This case is incredibly sad. I only hope she remains positive and releases soon and she thrives the rest of her life. I agree entirely. That's an absolute necessity. Lucy has been through hell. Lucy has been put through an ordeal that I think we can only imagine, and even imagining it is difficult. I hope she can be exonerated. I hope she can be exonerated soon. And all I can say is I'll do what I can to help. And obviously, I've tried to write this book as dispassionately as possible from an objective view. And I've always been looking for guilt since day one, because I didn't want to go out on a public stage and say, I think this is a miscarriage of justice, when actually someone has harmed babies. But I couldn't be more certain that hasn't happened. And what she's been through is everything that I've been able to ascertain. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and people that know Lucy and people that know people who know Lucy and so forth. All the indications are that she was a wonderful person. And initially, I didn't want to come down on that side because I didn't know her and I don't know her now. But, I've spoken to enough people to garner an impression of what she was like before this all happened. And everything indicates that she was just a really good person. And that makes it obviously even more painful and even more regrettable and even more egregious. And that's why, I think, I know less about Andrew Malkinson as a person, and I feel exactly the same about that. So, to be honest, I'm not really sure that's a major factor. Andrew Malkinson to me seems like a thoroughly decent guy, but I obviously don't know too much about him. But I feel very passionate. I mean, I think if I could have done a similar thing with Andrew Malkinson, I know I would have done it. And maybe in the future I'll do something for someone else. I don't know, but I just felt this was so wrong, and I felt I could do something, and I just did what I could, and I'll just continue to do that. I worry for Lucy's safety. Prisons are very dangerous places, and if something bad happened to her, it would benefit a lot of powerful people. I see your point, and there's nothing wrong in what you're saying. all I would say as a counterpoint to that is, firstly, women's prisons are significantly less dangerous than men's prisons. That's the first thing. I accept that they're still dangerous, but Lucy's being protected very, very stringently on 15-minute watch, on constant suicide watch as well. And another thing is, if what happened to these high-profile prisoners we've seen recently in men's prisons, if that happened to Lucy Letby, that would be not only catastrophic and calamitous, but think of the embarrassment for, as you say, people in powerful places. It would be the last thing they want you to do is lose complete faith in the system. And that would really shake people's belief in many things. So there will be, actually, while I understand your view, they will be desperate for that not to happen. Now, there may be more resistance to releasing her, but I think she'll be absolutely protected in prison. And a prisoner of her prominence, she's one of the most prominent prisoners in Britain. Maybe she's the most prominent prisoner in Britain, arguably. Maybe you'd say Myra. Is Myra Hindley still? I don't know. I don't follow these things that closely, but I mean, Ian Huntley would have been up there, but someone got to him. But she will be protected. I feel quite confident about that. I feel quite confident that she's safe. Far more concerned for her psychological well-being, of course. I watched an interesting video about someone who did jury duty in the UK. Apparently, they can't discuss anything until the deliberation period. That seems crazy to me for highly detailed cases. Yeah, it does seem strange, doesn't it? It does seem strange. I'm not an expert on the legal system, the jury system, how it works, why it works that way. I have no idea. I'm ambivalent towards juries. I'm not like massively, enormously in favour of having them. I'm definitely not in favour of scrapping them. I don't think Lucy was convicted because of the jury, but I also think not having a jury wouldn't necessarily have helped her. So I think by far more important is the quality of evidence that goes into the court, and the quality of expert evidence in particular. I mean, everyone knows the expression garbage in, garbage out, and there was a hell of a lot of garbage in this court case, as we know. That's why you've got a garbage outcome. I don't blame the jury. And I don't necessarily think that more time to deliberate and all these things would have helped. I think the only thing that would have helped would have been better science in the court case. And unfortunately, due to all the problems we know about and that I've discussed and that we'll discuss more in the future, it just wasn't possible to get better science into court. I think Cheshire Police will be organised out of existence. I would imagine they'll face serious scrutiny. I don't know, but they've made massive mistakes. And I think the worst thing, I've said this so many times, but I'll say it again, I would feel better about this case if I thought there was corruption involved. But I don't think there was. And I think the worst thing is they tried their absolute hardest. And I think the day they dropped that YouTube video, they thought, aren't we great? People are going to love us for what we've done in this case. And I don't think they had an inkling that they may have done something wrong and that they may have made mistakes. And that's the scariest thing, I think. I felt fatigue for channels that post every day. They also tend to drop in quality because they can't research properly. Yeah, I don't think the research issue would be a problem for me. And I don't think there'd be a drop in quality. I would just be able to do a different type of video and then have them every day. But maybe I'll never do that. I don't know. I think it does work out quite well the way it is now. But I just think it'd be interesting to look at it for a month or maybe even just a couple of weeks and just say, right, if I do 2 weeks of doing maybe a 20, 25-minute video a day, for example, and then I post one every day, how does that perform for the channel? and just see. And then if it performed badly, then I'll never do it ever again. If it performed well, then I could think, right, well, maybe once a month I could do a week of short videos as an example. I don't know. But it's something I'd like to try, but I haven't got around to it because what I do now is my thing. But it is worth thinking about, I think. It's a different legal system, but the Crown Office in Scotland has so far paid out £53 million for a malicious prosecution relating to the takeover of Rangers Football Club. Yeah, it's really interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, interesting. I just don't. I do think when we discuss this idea of compensation, we discuss the issues of compensation. That's very much established, but it's also worth mentioning the state is going to come under enormous pressure to compensate Lucy, because there'll be a public outcry over this case. Of course, there will, and for them to then say, "Hey, Lucy wasn't proved innocent, so she gets Jack." I mean, it's obvious her career is over. So what's she going to live off exactly? Now, we'll make sure she's got money. Don't worry about that, as I mentioned. But, this is a really interesting message that I need to speak about. So they will come under enormous public pressure, and maybe we will get compensation for Lucy. But we can't rely on that because there's so many cases. I think it's 94%. I think in my video that people mentioned earlier, I said 8%. Well, according to this guy on Private Eye, it's 6%. So it's not 92% get turned down, it's 94%. So it's already worse than I said it was. So it's far from guaranteed, but yeah, we just need to put the pressure on, and they're going to come under pressure. There's no doubt about that. I wonder if the consultant's lifelong anonymity will be lifted if they are found to have lied at appeal. Dr. A lied about. Yeah. Good question, Joanna. Very good, interesting comment. I think anyone can agree. I think many of us agree. I certainly believe that far too many people were granted anonymity in this case, and there is no justification for that. Now, as to whether that would be lifted at a later date, I don't know, but I'm certain there are going to be so many things that are going to be scrutinized. One of the things that is going to be scrutinized is how on earth were these doctors allowed anonymity? Like, it seems that one doctor was allowed anonymity because it might have upset his wife that he was interacting with a younger woman. That's not a reason to give someone court anonymity. Now, there could be another reason, but he gave evidence in court from behind a screen. So, I mean, it boggles the mind as to why that was allowed. But as I can't really comment any further on your comment there, but it's a very interesting suggestion. So we've got a very interesting comment here from Alexis Gillett, or Gillett? Hello, I'm absolutely loving all your content. I work for the NHS in microbiology, and the majority of us believe Lucy's innocent. So much just does not add up from a lab microbiology perspective. Well, it's really interesting to hear that, Alex. Please do feel free to drop me an email if you want to discuss more. If you don't have my email address, let me just type it here. It's on my channel name as well, but yeah, so it's in the chat now at 10 minutes past 9. Yeah, I'll just tell you as well, it's Lucy_Letby_analysis@mail.com. Please do drop me an email if you can. I'd like to discuss this more with you. There is an entire chapter dedicated to microbiology in my book, so I hope you get the chance to read that. And of course, I've interviewed 2 microbiologists for this channel. Very interesting to hear your perspective. I think more and more people are going to realise that Lucy's innocent, and that's, of course, my reason for writing the book. We touch of separation anxiety going on there with Keeks. Yeah. Keeks is like, she's, we do spend I mean, essentially, we spend every minute, every waking moment of every day together. You know, we don't spend time apart hardly ever. So yeah, she just cries. I told you the story last week of how I came to be Kiko's owner. So even I can remember a few years ago, her previous owner still sees her because we're still close friends. So she still sees her regularly. And her daughter was around at my house, and I took them to the driving range to play golf. Not very good at golf, but I had a hole in one before, but I can't play the game really, to be honest. Yeah, so we went away, and when I came back, Keeks ran downstairs to meet me, and my friend said all she did the whole time was stand at the bedroom window, looking out the window, crying. She just cried for 45 minutes till he came back. And that's when her previous owner is in the house. So yeah, she's very, very attached to me, and yeah, managing a separation anxiety can be tricky. Hi to WA Charles Beadle. I completely agree with the police being able to wriggle out of everything awkward. Nice to be here and looking forward to your book arriving. Yeah, thank you for the support, Charles, and that's just the reality of what happens with the police typically. Hi to Claire. Thanks for being here. And Keeks is down here now. I'm just going to turn my light on. Hold on. It's starting to get a little bit dark in here now. I've only got a little window in this room, and the sun's going down. It's still very light outside, but yeah. When you're doing your media tour for the book, can you make short YouTube stories in between to update followers on how it's going and things that came up? People will be pleased to follow progress. It's a good idea, that. So I have started to discuss this with my publisher because someone asked me about this. I mean, I get asked about it quite a bit. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where we haven't finalized this yet, but I'll certainly be keeping people in the loop. But that's actually quite a nice idea. I'll certainly try to record anything that I can, and try to do bits and pieces to keep people updated. I mean, I'm stepping into the unknown. I literally don't know what's going to happen to me over the next 2 months, but I will just play it by ear, see what happens as my life changes forever. I mean, it's already changed forever now because, like, when I go to public events, everyone knows who I am. So that's already wouldn't have applied a couple of years ago, of course, but I suppose it will change more in the future. One thing I should mention, actually, you know those shorts that you get on YouTube? I haven't got a clue how to record them, and I just haven't had the time to work out how to do it, and I don't want to muck about. So if I did record something, it would be more likely to be a main, like my normal videos. And there will be stuff coming like that coming up from some events. I just don't know which events and when or how it'll happen or anything like that. But I'll sort something out for sure. Could the prosecution just throw in the towel? Well, they won't do that at the Court of Appeal because they're not really allowed to do that, and there are certain incentives for the barristers not to do that. I would say they can give up, they can give up after the Court of Appeal. Let's say that there was a retrial, they can give up then. The Crown Prosecution Service can give up, but they can't give up at the Court of Appeal. I mean, it would be almost unprecedented, I believe, for someone to just for the prosecution to say we're not going to try at the Court of Appeal. I wonder if that's ever happened. You know, it's incumbent upon them to do something, and they're professional barristers and they have a financial incentive to do it. So it's very unlikely they would throw in the towel at that stage, like 0.001% chance, I would say. So in terms of whether there's a book signing in the pipeline, we're beginning to discuss it, but we're not in the position to announce anything yet. But I'll certainly be making appearances. What I need to explain to you, what you need to understand is I can't just automatically appear where I would want to and where you would want me to. It has to be approved with a bookshop, and the bookshop has to say, yes, we'd like to host that event. It's not something I have automatic control over. As the book gets bigger and more prominent, of course, it becomes more likely the bookshops will say yes. but we don't know. We just need to work through it. I'll certainly be appearing at some bookshops. I don't know where they'll be. I don't know when it will be, but we'll do the best I can. And also literary festivals is a distinct possibility. And I've got some other stuff in the pipeline that I can't discuss with you yet, but there are some other ideas that we're discussing. Does she have to have new evidence for each case individually and appeal each case individually? Yes, she does. Is the short answer to that question. And I guess that because a lot of the cases involve similar allegations, for example, the air embolism cases, if you can discredit air embolism, which is not difficult, then that's obviously going to seriously weaken all of those cases. But it would be, seeing as they've got neonatal reports for every infant, and they can just say, look at the clinical science for this infant, there's no bloody way that it's air embolism. They would be stupid not to do that. So that definitely, you'll see a very similar approach to what you've seen in the preview reports that have been released and in the press conference with Shu Lee, where they'll go through each case forensically and say, look, there is no possible way that this is air embolism. There's no basis for it. There's no evidence for it. And they're ignoring all these clinical signs and so forth. Hi to Black Squareable. Nice to have you here as always. Thank you, Claudia. I appreciate the support. Very much appreciate that. I'm not certain they'll set her free for a decade. They want to save face like the Iraq war inquiries. They generally wait long enough that the public energy is dissipated. Yeah, except I think this time it's going to be very difficult for them to do that. I do see your point, but I think they're aware they need to do something, and they can't. This is going to be referred to the Court of Appeal. They can't just bat it, because from the CCRC to the Court of Appeal doesn't take that long. Sometimes it's years, but it's not like 10 years. Even the Colin Campbell case, I think it took 2.5 years. For this case, it should take less than 2.5 years, definitely. So once they've referred the case to the Court of Appeal, the appeal has to be heard pretty damn quickly. So the only way for it to take 10 years for the initial appeal would be for them to delay the CCRC. They just cannot do that. They can't. There will be an appeal for Lucy in the next couple of years. I'm certain of that. I mean, when I say couple, it could drag on to 3 years. I've discussed the timeline previously, but it's not going to be 10 years. However, as I mentioned, it's not guaranteed that she'll win her appeal. We just don't know, but we just got to put the pressure on as much as possible, because what's happened is awful, appalling, abysmal. It's just so wrong. We'll definitely get the book. Give us a shout when it's ready. We can pre-order now, but it's coming out on the 9th of July. Let me put a couple of links in the chat for you. Bear with me 1 second. So this is one place where you can pre-order. Bear with me. Here comes the other one. Yeah, so that's my second one. You can order from Waterstones as well if you want to. Let me just put Waterstones up just in case. Right, there we go. Yes, I think you're right about the jury, Jeanette. As I did discuss this in a recent video, it's going to be very difficult to find a jury. But I'm not worried about all that. If there's a retrial, or if there's a suggestion that there's going to be a retrial, then it means that the major hurdle has been negotiated. So I'm not too worried about that. The main thing for me is that the Court of Appeal, it's going to be so hard for them to just say, oh, you could have said that a few years ago. The science is all in Lucy's favour. So it's just keeping up the public pressure and keeping up the awareness, you know. Yeah, I agree with your comments on the jury. I was wrongly convicted and filed for appeal. My new lawyer told me from the beginning, you have almost no chance at all. No judge wants to overturn the conviction other judge gave you. Yeah. So it's so difficult. It's so crazy. We literally have built this dystopian system, haven't we? And then we just defend the defend the indefensible, basically, because of the powerful people involved. Could it be found out if there's any contact between the consultants and Dr. Evans that could be evidence? It's not inconceivable, Karen, but it's not something that's going to exonerate Lucy at this point in time. It's something that could happen in the future. But by now, if they got any sense, they'd have deleted their emails or deleted their contact. So that's all I can tell you. I think the ship has sailed on that one. Hi, Chris. I'm so impressed with your work ethic. Thank you. Are we talking about a few rotten eggs in each of the bodies that have let Lucy down, or do you think the rot is deeper like me? I think that's a really good question. That's an exceptionally good question that I don't know if I can do that justice off the top of my head in a short period of time. I think the rot is deeper, but I think one of the worst things is I don't think there was any corruption in this case. I think that, or at least none that can be proven. It's really hard to answer this question. I think there are endemic systemic problems across multiple organizations, and I don't think this is people, you've heard the Swiss cheese model, all the holes being lined up. We've heard that mentioned and discussed many times on this channel. Although it took a lot of mistakes and a lot of issues to go wrong for this to happen, I think it's far from unfeasible that it could happen again in exactly the same way. And I'm certain there could be similar problems on a slightly smaller scale on a rather more regular basis. So I think it is more systemic than the individuals. That's just my personal opinion. Jenny, I've been meaning to email you for ages about the thing you've just written here. I've not got around to it due to no time, but I will definitely email you some point about this. If I don't, drop me an email and remind me. I'm just waiting until your book is launched. It's going to explode in a positive manner. So a lot of people have said this to me. I don't want to take anything for granted or be complacent. I just I'll do everything I can. I need your support, and we can make it happen together. Hopefully, there's no worry, Karen. I always encourage people to make any questions they can, any comments they can. It's up for me to sift through it and decide what I can talk about and what I can't talk about. So don't worry, it's absolutely fine. Oh, by the way, you're happy that Slot got sacked because you said some rather withering comments to me about him. So he seems like such a nice guy, but yeah, they didn't have the best season. Great if Mark McDonald could get Sasha Was KC for appeal. She's brilliant. So I've seen a few names knocking around, so hopefully they'll get someone really good. Hi, Chris. Hi to you, Zaina. Good to have you here. Hope you've been keeping cool in the heat wave and Kiko too. Yeah, it's been actually today was a beautiful day. It was lovely and warm, really. But I don't like it to. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like it to be like 35 degrees in this country typically, because I'm a British person with Irish blood, and that is hot for me. And I love the vibe of the sunshine, but practically in this country, I find it very difficult. To be fair, overseas, I love it, but I just have this air conditioning on 24 hours a day, and then ideally, if I had a house in a hot climate, I'd have an outdoor pool, 100%. If I had a big enough garden, and I'd have if this house here, even though I've got a small garden, it's big enough for a pool, I would have a pool, but it's just not necessary in this country. But yeah, I love the sun and I've been loving the weather, but I've managed to keep relatively cool, so it's been good. Many things bother me about the consultants. How could they hear Dewey's testimony and not understand that it's crazy? Well, what I would say to that asymmetry is that what you'll find is people tend to have a very self-serving perspective on many things. So if you hear a view that would, if it wasn't favourable to you, you would otherwise dismiss, you would not be favourable towards that view. But if you hear something that's in your favour that is tenuous, then suddenly you have a different perspective on it. So people will have self-serving opinions. People will take a lot on self-serving evidence. You know, it doesn't surprise me at all, not in the slightest, because they'd invested so much in Lucy being guilty, and anyone who comes along and says she is guilty, they're just going to jump on that bandwagon quite happily. Is your dog going to London with you? Cheers, Pam. Mostly not. No, that's why I'm going to live down south with my friend, so that Keeks has always got someone to look after her. One of the reasons I'm going to London is to record the audiobook. That's starting next week. That takes 5 days. I'll try and get people have asked me to take a photograph of the recording studio or myself in the recording studio, so I'll try to do that for your amusement. So yeah, I couldn't really, obviously you can't take Keeks in recording studio, that's an absolute calamity, and I couldn't leave her on her own in London all day. It's just not, I mean, occasionally I have to leave her for some hours, but it really is once in a blue moon because I don't like her to be on her own. So that's why we're going down to Hampshire so that she can be looked after. Hi, Casey. Good to have you here, as always. Margaret Dixon. Apart from your book being available online, have any high street bookstores been approached to stock it? It will be stocked in bookshops, yeah. It'll be in Waterstones for starters. But as we print more copies and as its prominence grows, we hope to get it in more and more bookshops, but you start with the biggest, of course. That's not my department, but it's being dealt with and has been dealt with. So yeah, don't worry. Will you be at the next 19 Nurses? Yes, I will. Do you think it's possible Nick Johnson knew from the start that Lucy's innocent? So I think that barristers live in a very strange world where the truth doesn't matter as much to them as it would to us, because their job is just to prosecute or defend. So often they don't really care. Obviously, they will have an opinion, but often they don't really care whether the person is innocent, guilty, whatever. Their job is just to go in there and give 100%. And therefore, I think they often develop a very strange relationship with the truth because the truth just doesn't matter to them that much. So I think they often have this kind of perspective of, well, we had a court case, there was questions from one side, there was questions from another side, the jury made a decision, it's been litigated, that's the truth now. What happened in the real world is almost irrelevant because we've done our court case. So it's easy for us to look at it and think, well, he would have known this or he would have known that, he would have thought this would. I just don't think they think of it that way, because I'm sure, and I'm not saying the psychopaths, I'm not saying they're bereft of emotion. I'm sure that's not true in most cases, but they have to divorce and dissociate their emotion from the process. Because if they, like, I don't think I could defend someone, or I would find it really difficult to defend someone who was guilty of something horrendous. I've often used the example of Wayne Couzens, who did that horrible crime that I won't discuss. I've probably mentioned it previously. Now, someone had to stand up in court. I've read a little bit of the court proceedings and say, yeah, he's a bad person, but here's the mitigating factors. You should give him a shorter sentence. And that was that person's job. And it's absolutely right that he was allowed to be represented and he was allowed to have legal representation and they were allowed to argue his case. Of course, it was a futile gesture. It completely failed. But I would find it, imagine if it succeeded, some bizarre twist, and the judge has said, okay, yeah, 25 years is fine. then Wayne Couzens could have been out in it's 2/3 of the sentence. Usually you're eligible for parole. So he would have been eligible for parole in 15, 16 years for this brutal crime. And you as the lawyer would know, I got him out, basically, if he was successful in parole. But if it's a 25-year sentence, which they argued for, he'd definitely come after 25 years. So just morally and ethically, knowing that I was arguing in favour of someone who pleaded guilty to this completely pointless, awful crime, I just don't think I could do that. But it's your job. It's your job to go in there and do that. So naturally, in order to do that, you've got to divorce yourself from what you're doing to some extent. So I think for Nick Johnson, and this would not be unusual for barristers, whether Lucy's innocent, guilty, or he doesn't know, he's irrelevant. He doesn't care. He just does his job. But I think there's a good chance that he believed her to be guilty, because I think the more that I've learned and the more that I understand, they may have thought the insulin readings were legitimate, even though they didn't have. I'm not saying for 1 second the evidence was good in relation to insulin cases. It wasn't, but they did at least have something concrete that had been measured, albeit indirectly, and they may have thought that was legitimate, even though it was wrong. And we know. Well, you'll read the insulin chapter in my book, and you'll learn more about it. I haven't been able to talk about this very much, but you'll learn more about it soon. Chris, could you consider interviewing an obstetrician? I feel as a midwife that the obstetric history was totally neglected by the prosecution and the defence, yet highly relevant. So, Sally, if you go to my channel and you look up Dr. Martin Pittman, I've interviewed him many times, numerous times already. He's an obstetrician. He's a top obstetrician, and he has said exactly what you've just said about the obstetric history. There is more about this in my book, as you may not be surprised to learn. So there'll be more detail about that in my book that hasn't come out yet. And it'll be made very clear what the situation is. I do know other obstetricians, but unfortunately I can't bring them onto the channel for various reasons. If anyone suggests someone who can do it, I'm always happy to interview them. But if you haven't seen my interviews with Martin, please do check those out. Have a holiday, mate. You deserve one. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to have like an overseas holiday this year because I need to be in Britain for the remainder of 2025. No, I'm maybe not in that year anymore. 2026. Next year, I'll probably have some holidays for sure. I do think I deserve one, as you rightly say. Hi, Chris. I'm just doing some dreaded house admin on my laptop. Yeah, it doesn't get any worse than that. So glad you're doing a live, as listening along will make it more bearable. Yeah, I'm really pleased for you, mate. I'm glad to be of service. I also hope she'll be exonerated soon, hopefully in time to find someone she loves and who loves her, and that she'll be able to start her own family that she ever wished for. Yeah, I hope so. All we can do is our best to help her, I think. In a bit, I'll start just looking at the questions because we're on 1 hour 35 and I want to wrap up just after 2 hours. Got a few things to do before bed. In general, women use verbal bullying and gossip rather than physical violence than men. The danger is not absent, just not outwardly evident. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be elements of that. But as long as she's safe physically, she's going to have mental health issues to deal with and psychological adjustment when she comes out of prison. That's just a fact. So yeah, there's not a lot we can do about that. But as long as she's safe physically, that's what concerns me. The prisoners who died recently were without a doubt guilty and were very open about having no remorse. Good. I mean, that's a fair point. And I think it does help. It certainly helps Lucy about the facts that, you know, we've heard that it seems most people in prison believe her to be innocent. That's obviously going to help. So I'm not too concerned about her physical safety, I must say. One thing that mystifies me is why the consultant suspected Lucy when, as you say, the majority say how kind and caring she was. It makes me wonder if they felt threatened by her in some way. So I've often answered this question, and there are various thoughts on this. And it's very, very difficult to give an answer to this question because we just don't know. And I wish I could tell you, I wish I could give you a good reason as to why this happened, but I don't have one. I've heard suggestions, and many of you have made suggestions in the comments that are legitimate and may very well be correct. Unfortunately, we just do not know why this happened, why the consultants went for so quickly. We can only speculate about that. And even some of the kind of logical inferences that you would make, it's still an enormous risk for Lucy to go for Lucy in that way. You're just putting your neck on the line so much. Now, as I've discussed, they did it in such a way as to try to avoid putting their necks on the line. But even so, when this is all over, they're not going to be able to just walk away. They're going to face very serious scrutiny. And of course, Jayram will be aware of the current situation with him being referred to the Cheshire Police by Sir David Davis for perjury. Now, that must be worrying for him. It must be. He's only human. He must be very concerned about this. And he only has himself to blame, and they only have themselves to blame for the precarious position they're in, and it may become very much more than precarious in the future. That's why I can't understand it, and why they so quickly, as we've discussed, go to commonality and are so concerned about commonality when there were just more obvious explanations. This may be another example of what I described earlier, this self-serving opinion, where it's easier for them to look at Lucy than it is to look at themselves. And that's the most likely explanation I've got for you. I don't have a better explanation. What are your thoughts? So I'll start looking at questions now only. What are your thoughts if the CCRC failed to refer to the Court of Appeal, or if it gets referred and the Court of Appeal refuse her appeal? So I'm not too worried about the first one, because I'm very confident the CCRC will refer. In terms of the Court of Appeal refusing her appeal, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. All I can say is I'll be here, and I'll try my best to help. And we're going to have to be determined and be here for the long haul with her. Let's cross that bridge when we come to it, because I don't have any knowledge of what happens, but it's not the end for her. And was Sally Clark had an appeal rejected, I believe, but certainly many people do. But 6 had an appeal rejected. It's not unusual for appeals to be rejected and then someone to be exonerated in a relatively short time frame. Of course, that would be really painful. It would be unacceptable in my estimation, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. Is there any idea when an appeal might be? Pressure is building. As I mentioned, I think within the next few years is inevitable. Hopefully within 1 to 2 years. 1 year is very optimistic, 2 years is realistic, 3 years is realistic but a little bit pessimistic, and I don't think it'll be longer than that. But obviously that involves a certain amount of estimation. Why are the CCRC taking so long? Firstly, they have to take it seriously because it's a very serious conviction. Secondly, they need to understand all of the reports that have been sent to them. Thirdly, they're underfunded, understaffed, etc., etc. Fourthly, the criminal justice system moves at a glacial pace due to lack of resources, number of things they have to deal with, and this just seems to be how things work. Let's go a little bit further down. Excuse me. Will the parents be able to claim for iatrogenic compensation if Lucy Letby is exonerated? Yes, they will, Jeanette. There's no reason that they couldn't, considering the details of the case. They should be able to make a claim for that. However, it is reliant on numerous things. So I wouldn't say that it's necessarily... Right, just got to ban this person. Hold on. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a certainty. Let's go a bit further down. Just looking for more questions now. Chris, I love audiobooks, have the post office one, but feel this time I should buy the book for the images. Can you help me choose, please? Well, of course, you're more than welcome to buy the physical book and the audiobook. The audiobook's going to be on Audible. It's going to be on other podcast platforms. So I can't help you choose because I don't know what you would prefer. All I can say is that all contributions are gratefully received, and you should do what suits you best. But I know a lot of people are are thinking of getting the physical book and the audiobook, so you can possibly consider that. But I can't tell you don't get. All I can say is we complete the PDF first. I will read the PDF for the audiobook, and then the audiobook will be converted into the physical book. Those three things will be exactly the same. So it doesn't really make any difference. It's not really my place to say you should do this, you should do that. All I can say is it's very important for me you're getting a uniform product across all the versions. So that's the most information I can give you. Why would you need new evidence for every case when they just said you could use guilt of one as proof of guilt for all or something similar? Good question. So it's not so much that you need new evidence for every case. What you do need to do, though, in my view, is address every case. I think there'll be a focus on the murders and the Inchling cases. Not, some of the other cases are an infant collapsed, or it was Lucy, that they're pretty pathetic. Obviously, child K, child G, other infants in the court case are utterly pathetic. But I think you'd be foolish not to address each infant systematically. So I'm sure that will happen. And I think Jeanette said it'll be a domino effect, and I think that's true. But they're going to go in there and they're going to give the Court of Appeal no room for manoeuvre. They're going to hammer every single case systematically, one by one. And bear in mind, we've not even heard the full information yet. You know how bad those preview reports look, but I know that in the final reports, it's worse. There's lots of stuff we don't know about yet, and there's lots of failures and lots of mistakes that on the unit that we haven't heard about yet. And they're going to systematically outline these in the Court of Appeal and say, look, there's a line in my book. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but when you read that line, I think like a chill will go down. Like I remember hearing it from the person that said it. It's not my imagination that wrote this line. I'm quoting someone. And when you read that line, I don't know how you'll feel, but you'll feel something. So yeah, I can't wait for you to see that. Hi, Chris. Hi, all. Managed to make it delayed by extra time penalties. Very sad Arsenal fan. I'm sorry about that, Shell. Gabrielle's been so good for you this season as well. Yeah, it's really tough the Champions League because you don't know when you're going to get another chance. Maybe they'll just go all the way next year and win it. There's still this team will be together for a long time, and they're going to strengthen for sure. And they're already clearly one of the best teams in Europe. And Arteta's very intense, and he won't let them drop their standards. So maybe they'll just win it next year, but you just never know when you're going to be in a final again. So sorry about that, but these things happen. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Robert, about anonymity for prosecution witnesses, but issues with character witnesses or colleagues for Lucy. It's one of the many, many, many ways in which this was an unfair trial. It's absolutely crazy how unfair it was. But that's water under the bridge. That's the situation we're dealing with. What can we do? Just deal with the reality. Can't deal with what's past. An appeal for Lucy in the next couple of years now, that scares me. She should get an immediate appeal. There is absolutely nothing more obvious than her innocence. Well, I'm just estimating when it might happen, David. My word is not gospel, but also I don't want to sit here and say, right, Lucy will get an immediate appeal. Lucy will be out of prison by the end of this year, because I don't believe that is the case. But it's all I can do is estimate based on my understanding of the system, previous precedent, the way things usually work, etc. That's all I can do. I'd love to sit here and tell you everything's going to crumble in the next 6 weeks. My book's going to destroy the whole thing. She's going to come out and she'll be a guest on my channel by August. But that's just not true. It's going to take longer than that. And I know it's scary. I know it's unfair. It's horrible for Lucy. But you've heard Michael O'Brien on this channel. He was in prison for 11 years. Lucy's been in prison for nearly 6 years now. In fact, yeah, it's coming up to 6 years. Tom, you've heard Tom Hayes on this channel. He'll come on again relatively soon. I just haven't had time to contact him. He was in prison for, I believe, 6.5 to 7 years. Many, many others, as you know, have served longer sentences while innocent. So if we can get Lucy out within 7 to 8 years, although that seems an enormous amount of time to take out of her life, it's still a relatively good result, sadly. I have pre-ordered my copy of the book. Is there any reason for it taking nearly 2 weeks after release for paperback to be delivered? Amazon, looking forward to reading it. Yes, there is a reason. It's because at this point in time, that's just a placeholder for the book, and Amazon will update the delivery date as soon as they have stock. The reason they haven't updated that yet is because they don't have any stock, because we haven't printed the book yet. Similarly, the audiobook is not available on Amazon at this point in time, or indeed any platforms, and that's because you have to have the audio recorded before they will list it. So given that I've not even started to record the audiobook, we can't put it on. But at some beautiful day in the future, I'll be able to say to you, look, the audiobook is now listed. And then at some point in the future, you'll see the Amazon date go down from, I think it's July the 17th now, to like July the 10th or July the 11th or whatever it is. Let's go a little bit further down. So I'm really sorry to hear about this person who's been convicted for basically nothing. But yeah, it's a tough world, isn't it? It's a tough world. It's been 28 degrees in my apartment. I had to lie on the floor to stay cool at times. I must say, getting my house, I think one of the best things about it is the summer months where, you know, I can just open the patio doors at the back and I've got a garden. And yeah, I liked the privacy of apartments. The annoying things about the most annoying thing about having a house is that even though I live somewhere that's a bit out of the way and there's not loads of, you know, I live in the hills here, you'd be amazed how many people knock on my door and say, oh, hello, I'm from Octopus Energy. Would you? No, I wouldn't. I've heard your adverts on Classic FM. I'm not interested. Yes, you might be able to save me £5 a month on my electricity bill. Whoop-de-doo. What does that count for in this economy? It costs £7 for a pint now. I wouldn't even get a pint out of it. I'm not bothered about going through your shitty process. Just leave me alone. Stop disturbing my dog. Yeah, that's the downside of having a house. But I do like the temperature, and I do sympathise. And it used to get very hot when I had a flat, that's for sure. Make small update videos in between interviews and send them to your publisher. They'll know what to do with them. It'll boost your channel and book profile a lot. Yeah, I'll definitely try to do that. I'm sure I'll be, as I say, I'm sure I'll be posting some content. Well, I know I will be. It's just a case of what that content will look like. But I'll do my best with that. Make small update videos in between interviews and send them to your publisher. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Let's go a bit further down. So regarding the 19 Nurses event, this is Casey8139 who was messaged. Please email me. If you haven't got my email, it's Lucy_Letby_analysis@mail.com. It's on my channel as well. If you go to my channel homepage, just email me and I'll let you know. Let's go a bit further down. So, just look for some questions again. Do you think the outcome would have been different if Lucy Letby was from a rich background? Well, I suppose if she's from a rich background, it's unlikely she would have been a nurse. It might have helped her. It might have helped her. Yeah, I mean, it usually does. Coming from a rich background usually helps you. So there is a distinct possibility it would have helped. But then on the other hand, there were a lot of rich people on the other side. so I'm not really sure. Audible often have £1 for X months offers, so you can get the audiobooks dirt cheap. Yeah, so it might be possible to do that. I don't know how it works. I don't know how that works with compensation for me. I don't understand any of this, but yeah, there's various options to get the audiobook anyway. There seems to be so much speculation over compensation. However, I wonder how much expense on top of trauma for Lucy's parents. Surely they must be financially struggling. Well, I think Lucy's parents are retired, so I don't think they need money, but I'm certain they're struggling in terms of being traumatized and what they're going through. I think they're okay financially. Obviously, I'm not in contact with them. They have absolutely rightly kept a low profile, which is absolutely what they should do. If I knew what was happening with them, I would tell you. Excuse me. Bear in mind that I don't think Lucy's parents are wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but bear in mind they were able to rent a flat in Manchester for her trial. So they weren't working, so they must be okay. I don't think they need to worry about money too much. I think it's more trauma for them, undoubtedly. Is it still worth writing to our MP for Lucy, please? I haven't yet, but I've seen that others are receiving copy and paste reply that I don't feel helped. Christine, yes. Write to your MP, and then also, if your MP gives you a copy and paste reply, contact me, and I'll tell you what to do next. I've done that for lots of people. I'm very happy to do that. Thanks for kind remarks, Ebony. I really appreciate that. Chris, are the 19 nurses still on the campaign to free Lucy? Are they invested in supporting us still as before? Absolutely. They won't ever stop. And actually, when Lucy's exonerated, they will work in support of other nurses as well. And I think even whatever happens in the future, I know they'll stay together as a campaign group for the rest of their lives, for as long as they're healthy enough to do it, and then they'll pass it on to other people. I mean, I'm speaking for them, but I know that's the case. So let's go a bit further down. Someone's saying ML Clooney could do it. If ML could get George to comment on the case, it would raise the international profile of it immensely. Well, you're perfectly welcome to send her a copy of my book. I mean, one of the things that we could think about doing, if people are happy to help, is sending a copy to prominent people who we think might comment or think might help. That's something that you can help me with. It's a potential campaign that we could do. We can brainstorm and we can work together on it. That never really occurred to me until just now, but yeah, I mean, I'll have a certain number of copies that I can send, and then if other people can help, with purchases or whatever, we could do it collectively. That's actually quite a good idea. But anyway, we can think about that in the future. 30 years from now, I'll still be arguing with people in the comments section about the green Post-it note. Well, I feel that way about the handover sheets. Although the handover sheets have gone a bit quiet recently, I'm a bit disappointed. The village where I live have several coffee shops where there is a free reading section. I aim to purchase 10 books and place them in the free reading section. That's incredibly noble, Jeanette. I really appreciate that. Obviously, if other people want to do stuff like this, if other people want to give copies to libraries or put them in communal places where there are reading areas or whatever, that's entirely up to you. It's not my place to say you should do that. Any support you can give is great. But anyone who can do stuff like that, who's able to do it, I couldn't be more grateful. And hopefully it's going to help Lucy, of course. That's the most important thing. Yeah. So this is Margaret talking about a horrendous CCRC referral after decades. Yeah. Been tough this week trying to keep my poor dogs cool. Been thinking about how awful for Lucy in a cell. This must be the worst time. At least she's serving in a cell in a country where it rains and is miserable for 8 months of the year. I mean, that's a massive plus. Imagine doing your sentence in Arizona, or somewhere near the equator, somewhere with an equatorial climate. That'd be tough. The only positive is it's not sunny that much in this country, but yeah, it must be very difficult to deal with. I think that's the hardest thing. I mean, I walk through the woods, and I've told you this before. I reflect on the fact that I can just, the simplest thing, like been on a beautiful walk with Keeks today. The sun was shining. Keeks loves the sun, so she's really happy. Throwing the ball for her. She's running around. She's swimming in the stream. She's good. She's a good swimmer. And just the simplest thing that is free, that no one can stop me from doing. You don't need money for it. It's just one of the most basic pleasures in life, and like Lucy just cannot do it. And I think if I ever visited Lucy, and I obviously haven't, and I don't know if I ever will, but I know one of the things I will think if I do visit her is I will think, this is crazy. Like, why can't I just take her out? Like, can I just take her down the pub for a few hours? Like, we'll bring her back. I mean, it's absolutely. It must be really weird for her to just think, well, I'm innocent. Everyone knows that I'm innocent. People work in the prison know I'm innocent. People that are resident with me in the prison know I'm innocent. The public know I'm innocent. Medical experts know I'm innocent. Probably even deep down, the criminal justice system now knows that I'm innocent. And yet, I can't even, I can't have a day out even, let alone be let out permanently. Like the most exciting thing that happens in my life is I get an hour outside. I get to work in the Poxy library here. It's not going to be a great library, is it, realistically? And I get to meet someone like once a week for an hour. And the rest of the time I'm stuck in solitary confinement. It must be so awful, so painful, so unfair, so surreal. And that's why, I've given so much energy to this, because it's so important that this is overturned. It's so unjust. It's so wrong. And I know Amanda Knox, and she'd have a much better handle on this than me. I know she was saying people fought for me, so I want to do something for Lucy, and that's fair. I've never really thought about it from that perspective of what if it happened to me. But of course, I hope. It's obviously very unlikely it would happen, but if I was in a position to help someone and there'd been an injustice and they'd been wronged, I would always do it. Of course, there's billions of people in the world, and there's millions of people that have been wronged one way or another, so it's impossible. But if I ever get the chance to do it in the future, then I definitely will. Hi to Thomas, by the way. Nice to have you here. Hi to Anna as well. Anna's in Australia. Good to have you here. Let's go a bit further down. Guess after the release of the book, we'll see you on TV or YouTube clips doing the morning news shows. Well, it's unpredictable, David, as to what's going to happen, but certainly there's a possibility that will happen. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen exactly, of course, but all I know is I'll give everything I can to the book. Then I'll just strap myself in and see what happens, and I'll do anything that I can, and I'll just cross every bridge as it comes. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So 19 Nurse is just confirming here. Yes, we are still here. We'll remain fighting for this campaign. What you said is correct, Chris. So, I mean, I pretty much knew that. Thanks for being here, as always. Hi, John. Nice to have you here. No worries about joining late. These things happen. Thanks for the wishes regarding the book. Really appreciate it. Send the book to Richard Madeley. Their book club is massive and influential. Yeah, that's a good possibility. I thought they used to have Can someone tell me about their podcast? Because I thought they used to have a podcast about their book club. But I would like them to do something with it. I thought they used to have a podcast, but they don't seem to have one anymore. Maybe someone can inform me about that. Has there ever been a rich nurse? Good question. Yeah, I guess it's not a profession like writing. It's not a profession you go into to get rich. I guess there are some rich writers, but they're pretty few and far between. You just do it because it's your vocation and your passion, and because you really, really want to do it. Simple as that. If one is taking their dogs for a walk in this hot weather, always take some water to dip the dog's paws and for hydration. So I'm very fortunate that we go past people's doggy bowls, firstly, and secondly, we go in the woods. You've seen it. She goes running around in the water. So, but a good tip, nevertheless. I'm planning to give a copy of your book to the library in Bangor, County Down, Northern Ireland. Thank you, Kathleen. I really appreciate that. If Lucy supporters are library members, you might want to put in a request to your library for a copy of Chris's book if you can't afford to give them one. Yeah, absolutely. That would be helpful. I'd really appreciate that. But we can brainstorm all these ideas again in the future as well. I'm recommending your book to my sister's book group. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Chris, will you attend the Court of Appeal? I don't know. I think I'm more likely to watch the online stream than attend. But considering that I won't be able to speak about the Court of Appeal on the stream at the time, there's a good chance that I will attend some days. But I know this sounds daft, Joanna, but I don't think beyond tomorrow. Like, that's when people are saying these things about you might be on TV. I mean, obviously I'm aware of that, but at the moment, all I do is get up, do my absolute best for that day, work out what I'm doing, try my hardest, go to bed, get up the next day. That's only going to stop on the 13th of June. So then I'll have a little bit more time to think. But I've not thought that far ahead. There's a good chance that I would, but I really couldn't say. Hi, Matthew. Good to have you here. Don't worry about being late. Unfortunately, we're at the end now, but am I coming up to Manchester, Lancashire? I would think it's very likely. I mentioned earlier in the stream that public appearances are dependent on bookshops, etc., whether they want to have you or not. So that's not within my control. But obviously, Manchester. I used to live in Manchester. I used to live in Cheshire. It's on my list. It's obviously the top 3 cities. Obviously, are clearly. I'll try and do stuff in London. Birmingham is particularly relevant because of the CCRC is in Birmingham. So I'd love to do Birmingham for that reason. And then, of course, Manchester, because I've got links with Manchester. And I guess it's not a million miles from Chester as well. But yeah, certainly the intention is to do that. I'm surprised your book is relatively affordable, hence I'll be able to purchase at least 10 copies to distribute. Well, we really appreciate that. Of course, we tried to do it in the most affordable way. So that's greatly appreciated. Why can't you talk about the Court of Appeal? I thought they only existed during jury trials, so the jury's not influenced. All I can say is, I mean, maybe I can. I was under the impression I couldn't. We'll think about it in the future. But I was under the, I mean, put it this way: if I did report on the Court of Appeal, firstly, I'd have to be extremely careful about what I said, and secondly, I might have to be a lot stricter with the comments, or not allow comments at all. Because I think we'll just have to wait and see what is the best thing to do. And if I did speak about the Court of Appeal, it would have to be, here's what happened at the Court of Appeal today, end of video. It can't ever be me giving an opinion. So that's quite hazardous. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Can the Court of Appeal take into account the insulin certificates are no longer admissible evidence under forensic science Whether it can take into account, I don't know, but it's a point that can be raised. I think it's a valid point, but I don't know how the law works, and they could possibly say it's not admissible evidence because it's not relevant at the time of the trial. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Slip a book into the library, they'll be none the wiser. Well, obviously, if you just slip one in, people won't be able to take it out. So try and get it in officially if you're going to do that. Tesco have a free book section, slip one in there too. So that's maybe possible. Thanks for comments and greeting, Wesley. I really appreciate it. I think there'll be plenty of people who'd come out if you were doing book signings. Well, it's certainly my intention to do that. So yeah, happy to do that. Hopefully it'll happen. So I'm definitely going to mention this Richard and Judy book club because I didn't know they were in partnership with WH Smith. So that could be a good thing to do. Sending a copy of your book to influential people who speak out is a great idea. I think well-known celebrity politician types, for example, Andy Burnham and Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, I mean, obviously British-based at first is better, but we can brainstorm ideas. I do think this is a worthwhile thing to try. And we can maybe get together an organised effort to do this. Hello again from New Zealand, Chris. Thank you for ongoing work. Great to have you here, Sarah. Always a pleasure. Thank you for following the case from New Zealand. We really appreciate it. Send a book to Elon Musk. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I'm sure he's a busy guy, but maybe we could try that. I don't know. I don't know whether it's a good idea. We'd have to think about it. So it's 10:08 p.m. I've reached the bottom of the chat. I'm tired. But yeah, I actually feel pretty good. I could have carried on going, but I need to do a few things before bed and I'm hungry. So I'll leave it there. Thank you, as always, to... Yes, there's a point. Let me just answer this question. American celebrity would have the same influence as the New Yorker. Yeah. I'd love to make it international as well, but it's good to start with British because it's a British case, of course. Please come to Newcastle for a signing. Yeah, I'll try to. We'll definitely make a thorough list, but we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, good night to everyone. Good night. Thanks to everyone for being here. Been another enjoyable live stream, and it will go live in about 10 minutes. Yeah, Amel Clooney was mentioned earlier, so we could definitely try that. Keeks has been given a bone of hammering this week, by the way. I can tell she's not going to get up, so you're not going to get to see Keeks tonight because she's just very, very happy lying there. Yeah, don't feel guilty about eating your pasta. That's absolutely fine. Do email me about the meeting. Your book is already garnering so much interest. Brilliant. Yeah, it's really flattering, and I don't know what's going to happen to me in the next couple of months, but I'll try and remain calm about the whole thing. Yeah, thanks to everyone for being here. It's my time to go now, so there'll be a live stream in June, but it'll be well into June because I can't do anything until the middle of June at the earliest. When I get the chance, I will do it. But I've got to move house. I've got loads of stuff going on, record the audiobook. I've got stuff going on in London. There's a few issues. So I'll do the next live stream at my first possible opportunity, but there won't be one until the middle of June at the earliest. And I look forward to seeing you all then. But of course, I'll continue recording videos and releasing them in the meantime. But yeah, thanks for being here and take care.